So is it, something which can be determined by the government forever? No, it cannot be determined, because what is good for someone as a currency rate may not be good for another actually as a currency rate actually. So in that case, what should be done? We better leave it to the markets to determine that. So which is that market actually? Is that a market which can be where the stakeholders of the currencies should trade on, or where there are people, who have information about that particular asset class can trade on actually? This is what, I entered into discussion with Mr. Rajwade, who's a veteran in the, in the forex markets actually, because there is entirely a different view about an exchange traded market compared with an OTC market actually. So before I come into, I just wanted to throw some numbers as to what the market is all about. Today, our OTC market volumes, the offshore volumes, is estimated by BIS about $53 billion per day. That is the irony. So what is the volume in the onshore markets? Around 10 is the OTC forward market, wherein you can book a forward contract with the bank, and around $15 billion per day is your OTC spot markets actually. So it's totally put together about half of the the offshore markets. And then what is the exchange traded markets? Sorry to say that we are just about $500 million per day. I mean, that's the state of affairs as of today, because of what we face as a policy action. Rather, I would say it is, in this case, about these three markets. It's the tail which is wagging the dog, actually, which is the NDF market which is wagging the dog. So why do we say that, actually? Because we see the gap opening over there and gap opening over here in the onshore exchange traded markets. There's a huge gap opening, and when we see that, how the markets align when the markets start, there is a strong interaction that happens between the market players in the onshore and the offshore actually. So though you may not get the volumes which get traded on the Bloomberg or the Reuters terminal, you can clearly see the way the prices in the exchange traded markets and the offshore markets converge actually. So that convergence analysis clearly indicates to us that it is actually the tail which wags the dog actually. And this is one of the reasons, those who have read recently on the newspaper, the finance minister had, came out on the, stage to say that he's concerned about the growth of the NDF market volumes in the market. So where is the way how to grow the market? I mean, I would, I would leave the question to the later on discussion, and and take the questions about the exchange traded markets at a later point in time when we come to the Q&A session. Rather not to delay, I would like to introduce Mr. Harish Desai, who is director at A.V. Rajwade Company Limited. And he is a founder director, and he has been with Mr. Rajwade since 1982. And he had worked with the company for 81, and he has spent over 2 decades counseling Indian corporates on foreign exchange risk management actually. And those who know, those who are in the treasury operations, those who are in forex risk management operations, they would definitely know Mr. Rajwade and Mr. Desai, who has been working with them. And Mr. Desai had worked with corporate clients, which to me looks like who's who of the listed world in the markets actually, right from the Gujarat Power Limited to L&T and Mahindra. He had worked with most of the banks and private companies and things like that as to how they could better hedge their exposures actually. And he has conducted over 400 training programs on forex and interest rate risk management, and the use of derivatives and even hedge accounting. Actually, this is pretty critical in this session, which I just wanted to flag it to you. We are moving from Indian accounting standards called as AS11 and AS30, which particularly determine what is hedging and how should we do our hedging practices towards IFRS 9, and that too not the old IFRS 9, the new IFRS 9, which clearly mentions which are the instruments and how do we do it and how do we report it and things like that actually. So in that case, as a corporate stakeholders in the market, you should clearly know how do you account for what you do as a hedging activity. And he also regularly takes session on currency outlook for the CFO forum of IMA India, and he can very well tell us about the future forecast about the dollar which he has in the market. And he's also a visiting faculty in Indian Institute of Management in Indore for the last 5 years, and he has contributed a weekly column for Business Standard on forex markets for the last 6 years, and he currently writes a weekly currency risk management report, which is not only sent to clients but also subscribed by other treasury heads as well. So now I welcome Mr. Desai to provide his viewpoints.